So you're winning right now while you're gambling. I've been there. Listen, in the beginning of my gambling, I had these big wins and I felt like I couldn't lose. I thought I was on top of the world, that I was a great sports gambler, and that I could not possibly find a way to string together enough losses that it wouldn't be profitable for me to gamble. Welcome back to the One Day at a Time Gambling Addiction podcast. I'm your host, Rob, and I made my last bet on November the 12th of 2022. Since then, I made it my personal mission to help you to recover from a gambling addiction faster than I did. Today, I wanted to dive into my reflection for the week, and that is that even if you win in the beginning while you gamble, you'll always end up losing if you stick around long enough. So I wanted to provide this reflection and then do something a little bit different that I haven't done before. I wrote a story about someone who went to a casino and ended up losing it all after a big win. And I'm going to plug that in after I'm done my reflection so that you guys can watch that story. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I want to see if you enjoy this form of content where I provide this story to you. And I want to see if you can relate to what the content says. Because for a lot of us, we had big wins in the beginning, or at least we had some wins in the beginning that convinced us that we would be professional gamblers if we kept playing. So I wrote this story with that intention in mind, and I wanted to reflect upon how I felt all along in my gambling career as I continued to spend more and more money chasing after the initial feeling that I had. So right in the beginning, it was when Kevin Durant was on the Warriors, and I was consistently gambling on them to come back and win when they would go down in games. Now that's the season they happened to be like 73-9 or something like that. Their record was ridiculous, so it was a rare occasion that my bet would actually lose because they ended up winning the games. Now, this is not something that carried over into the rest of my gambling, and it was a trend that, whereas I thought I was using a bunch of skill and knowledge to get that result, it was really just kind of luck on my end that this team was doing so well to come back and win games. The truth was that I had no say in the outcome of the game whatsoever, but that's not something that I could come to terms with. I figured that I had an edge, that I knew something that everyone else didn't seem to know, that I could beat the sports books because they were offering these lines, and I thought that the lines were not really that fair. I thought that the lines were actually underrepresenting the value that the team was providing. Now, these were all false beliefs because these lines are calculated spending millions of dollars each year to hire professional statisticians, and there's no way that some 17, 18-year-old kid is just going to be able to figure out which lines are lacking and which lines to take advantage of. I was delusional in that sense. But these big wins in the beginning had me keep going back. And the truth is that when you gamble, anything can happen in the short term, but if you keep playing over and over again, it is a certainty that you will end up losing money over the long haul. Because all the games are designed with what's called a house edge, and even sports bets carry a house edge, which is the vig that they put on top of the odds. You're not supposed to make money in the long-term gambling, and if you were making money, you would have been banned a long time ago. Whatever you're doing, if you're allowed to do it in the casino, it's because the house knows that if you keep doing it, they will eventually win. You can't card count, you can't do arbitrage sports gambling because these two things would be profitable over the long term. Both result in you not being able to play the game that you had previously been gambling on. So I just wanted to reflect on that if you could win, you wouldn't be allowed to do it. So that's something you need to keep in mind, and stop trying to delude yourself into thinking that you have an edge or you're special. I did it for so long, and it just cost me more money and more time than need be. So I just wanted to say, you don't have to keep doing something that's obviously bad for you if you're a gambling addict, just because you think that you're special or you're the one that's going to break this cycle. It's the great false belief of gambling addicts, because we have such huge egos, that we're going to be the ones that it doesn't apply to, that we're going to be the ones that aren't actually addicts, we're just on a bad streak of luck, and that we're going to be able to figure it out. All of these are false beliefs, and they will lead to stacking up losses over the long run the more you play. If you keep going back to something that's bringing you pain, you can only expect more of the same. You need to be making changes in your life or you're going to end up with the same outcome each and every time that you do it. If you want to live a life without the chaos of gambling, or you want to better understand your own actions, smash that subscribe button, because everything that I create is aimed to help you better understand yourself. As previously mentioned, I'm going to be showing you now a story that I've written myself. I hope that you enjoy this kind of format, and I just want to say before I play that video that life does get better, and we can keep getting better together, one day at a time.
I won the grand jackpot on a slot machine. It was the worst thing that ever happened to me. It was just an ordinary evening when I decided to visit the casino. I had enjoyed gambling from time to time, as I had just recently turned the legal age to gamble, and that night I felt particularly lucky. Little did I know that a single moment of fate would change my life forever. As I approached the slot machine, my heart raced with anticipation. I inserted the coins and pulled the lever. The reels spun frantically before coming to a sudden stop. I couldn't believe my eyes. The symbols aligned perfectly, and the machine erupted into a symphony of flashing lights and ringing bells. I had hit the grand jackpot. Cheers and applause filled the casino as I was declared an instant millionaire. I was on cloud nine, overwhelmed with joy and the belief that this was a turning point in my life. I paid off my debts, bought a luxurious mansion, and indulged in everything I had ever dreamed of owning. But little did I realize that the elation of that moment was fleeting. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, I became obsessed with replicating that feeling. I wanted more. The casino became my second home, and I found myself gambling more and more frequently, always chasing that adrenaline rush of victory. I convinced myself that I had a special gift, that I had cracked the code and could control my luck. My arrogance blinded me to the harsh reality that luck is fickle, and the house always has the advantage. Soon, my incredible winning streak began to crumble. The wins became fewer, while the losses grew more substantial. But I couldn't stop. I wouldn't stop. The allure of victory was too powerful, and I believed my luck would turn around any moment. However, it was a false hope. My once lavish mansion fell into disrepair as my fortune evaporated before my eyes. I found myself borrowing money from friends and family, convincing myself that I could turn things around with just one more bet. As the years passed, my addiction consumed me. I became a recluse, pushing away everyone who cared about me, ashamed of what I had become. I couldn't face their concern, their disappointment, and my own self-loathing. In my desperation, I turned to dangerous loan sharks to fuel my insatiable appetite for gambling. My life became a never-ending nightmare of debt and despair, with no way out. I was haunted by that grand jackpot, the very thing that had started this tragic downfall. It had become a curse, a constant reminder of how one fleeting moment of luck could lead to a lifetime of misery. I wish I could go back in time and undo that night at the casino, but there are no do-overs in life. The pursuit of wealth and the rush of winning had cost me everything. My wealth, my relationships, my health, and my sense of self. Now I share my story as a cautionary tale. The allure of big wins can blind us to the dangers of gambling addiction. It's a slippery slope, one that I wish I had never set foot upon. If you find yourself tempted by the siren call of the casino, remember my story, and know that the grandest jackpots can come at the highest price. If you let gambling control your life, you will lose everything and everyone you have ever loved.